If you're in a committed relationship, here's the $1 million question. Whose family do you go see for the holidays? Today on the Art and Science of Difficult Conversations. Welcome to the Art and Science of Difficult Conversations. I'm Chris.
And I'm Lucie, and we love having difficult conversations.
That's right. And each week we'll either share a tip, hear how others have gotten better at difficult conversations, or demonstrate common difficult conversations and what to do and what not to do.
Let's get into it.
Welcome back to the Art and Science of Difficult Conversations. I'm Chris, and as always, here is the ever-enduring Lucie. Lucie, how are you?
I love your new adjectives. Thank you, Chris. uh, Creative Chris. This is going to be my adjective for you today.
Thanks.
I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you doing today?
So far, so good. So far, so good. I think I've said before in another episode, I need to start adding naps into my day. I still haven't done that yet. I'd love
Oh.
to find a way to do that.
Hmm.
So I'll get there one day. So otherwise, I'm a little tired. So I got that midday slump.
Oh, yeah. I hear you. Well, I see that you're drinking water, so staying hydrated, that can help with energy.
That's all we can do.
Yeah.
Just stay hydrated.
And keep stretching too. If we've been sitting, any of you that are listening to us right now, maybe you can take it as an opportunity to stretch.
Hmm.
Take a deep breath in, and let's get started.
Let's get started. Well, today, Lucie, I know you're not married, but you've been in relationships before, so I know it's not like a new topic for you altogether. But this is a topic that I think is interesting because it's not just about the holidays, because obviously today's about the holidays, and there's always going to be conflict around the holidays,
Mm-hmm.
but it extends to all sorts of other things in the process of a relationship. You know, the main question today is how do couples decide whose family to spend time with
Mm.
at Christmas or Thanksgiving or any other holiday,
Any
right?
holidays?
And that extends to like how are we gonna
A
spend our time as
vacation.
a couple in general, right? Vacation. And so, and as we were talking beforehand, as we were preparing for this, we were thinking, man, this is a really complicated type of conversation because you have to take into account where the families are, what travel is involved, your budget do that travel. Are there kids involved? Are there multiple things you need to do in tow? And then is there family drama,
Mm.
or how the relationship is with the family
Yeah.
on both sides, or multiple sides. If they're children of divorce, now you have
Oh, yeah.
multiple families on each
Extended.
side of,
Gets
yeah,
even
you
more
have
complicated.
I know. So for you, when you're thinking about this, when you're thinking about couples talking through this and trying to figure out where to spend holidays, this is one of those times where I don't like the word compromise because
Mm.
it doesn't work in all situations. You can't like
Yeah.
spend half the day of Christmas at one family, especially, and then the other half of the if they like live far enough away apart. There's no such
Oh,
thing
yeah.
as compromise, or you
My
can't have the
family's in
same
Europe,
meal at the
so
same time.
it might be
Yeah,
difficult.
right. So, what are you thinking about in terms of these kind of conversations, in terms of what makes it so difficult, also, and what makes it complicated?
So let's see, what makes it complicated? What makes it difficult? Let's say because there's more people involved. And so the more people, more needs, more desires, more wishes, and that can make it complicated. More relationships to consider. Um, I would say it also is looking at whose needs, my needs, where's my boundary, what do I really want, and being considerate to what was important to others, and having
Mm-hmm.
that open conversation to um, how not to compromise, how not to make each other miserable, but how to have understanding and respect and kindness for each other. Um, Especially with more extended families, if there's already a complication. For me, when I was remembering my past holidays, it was mixed. There was both joy and it was also mixed with a little bit of drama always, a stress and a fights, and I didn't like that.
Mm,
So sometimes I just would rather be alone rather
hmm
than face any dramas or really pick how I want to spend the holidays.
hmm
I've had even clients that said, you know what, we don't want to celebrate the holidays. We just want to be rather peaceful at home. So
Yeah,
even that
yeah,
is
and
approach, right? I think it
that is
comes
an
down
option
to
for
it is
sure.
an option always. But a lot of family members might not agree with that option or might be judgmental or even guilt tripping. You need to come to
Mm-hmm.
us. You haven't been coming to us for a long time. And what about us? It's always about you. So, depending on the relationships and on how kind, respectful the relationships are and how willing all the parties are to really hear each other. The less willing, the more drama, the more difficult it can be. How are holidays for you? How have they been?
Um, yeah, I think I've lucked out that me and my wife, we both get along with our in-laws and our
That's a
families
win already.
overall.
Mm-hmm.
So we get along, and it's really just about the distance. Then they're both like 5 hours away from us,
Mm,
driving. So
yeah.
it's like we really have to choose one or the other. There's no way to
Mm-hmm.
compromise, like, right? Um, and so it's really more just about what's a good timing in terms of the kids and their schedule. So that simplifies it a lot because we don't are neither of our parents, well, not none of our parents are divorced explicitly, and so we don't have to worry about kind of juggling all the other new dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
We all get along with our families, so we don't have to
That's
deal with that. And
fantastic.
then
Yeah.
we just have to juggle with our siblings, and so making sure we see them at the same time. So that's the only real complication.
Mm-hmm.
And we recognize we're very lucky in that sense, right? There's lots of families that don't function like that or
No.
get along well, so we get
Mm-hmm.
that. So which makes it an interesting conversation because of those dynamics of how people view their families. You know, some people view a very strong loyalty to your family, and the culture is we might fight, we might argue, but we're at least doing it together. That's the most important thing is that we're together.
Yeah.
And then you know, there's not there's a kind of a nice simplicity to that. Is like we may not get along, but we are still bonded and we're still together in this. That's kind of nice. And then the issue is what happens when it now gets into you know you have a uncle or a cousin or a brother or a parent or caregiver that has way opposite political opinions or just life opinions than you, right? Or I'll choose something else
Mm,
other than politics. What if they're a flat earther and they believe that um,
absolutely.
everyone else that believes the Earth is round is going to die soon,
Oh yeah.
right? So now they're not just like now they're not just like keeping their belief to themselves. They're also like actively trying to impose their belief onto you.
Yeah. Or they get drunk during every holiday.
Yeah. So big concerns, and I think unlike other conversations at work, right? At work, it's a little bit easier. You have like a specific goal you're trying to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I think in personal, these kind of personal conversations, it ends up being more how do we co-create a solution together? How do we figure out together what that holiday is going to look like?
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is also we have to learn how to um, not grow, but differentiate ourselves from our families and be
Absolutely.
ourselves because we're ourselves. Even if we don't do it now, eventually a lot of those family members, the older ones, are going to pass away. And then we're really on our own. Then we still have to
Yeah.
figure out how to differentiate ourselves in
Mm-hmm.
a sense. So, what are your thoughts from all that rambling I did?
No, what I'm hearing is really also respecting the boundaries and being aware of the priorities. And one of the things that comes up for me also is, even you've mentioned at work we have a goal. And I wonder in personal situations if we also can create goals. And they might not be about the metrics, what we need to achieve in the work sense. Usually, these are the goals and the measurables, the smart goals in terms of
Hmm.
sales and calls. I don't know what else. But in family, conversations, I wonder one of the goals could be the feeling goal. How do we want to feel during the holidays?
Hmm. That's an interesting take. Talk more about that.
I feel when people don't set the feeling goals or the being goals and they just focus on the doing goals, what do we want to do? Um, it may result in experiences that may be stressful and not fulfilling.
Hmm.
And therefore, I had this the 40 goal setting when we not only look at what we want to have, the having goal, or what we want to do, the doing goal, but also we look at how do we want to feel, be, and what kind of impact we want to create, what kind of
Hmm.
legacy we create through our actions. And
Hmm.
so taking that into the family situation, how do I want to feel? How do we want to feel during the holidays? For me, I want
Yeah,
to feel
that's,
peaceful,
I mean, I think that's
relaxed.
powerful, right? Because then it doesn't matter where you are.
Exactly.
It's more about what are we going to do while we're there to find that peaceful feeling, to support one another
Yep.
in that if it's going to be a contentious place.
Mm-hmm. So having that clarity might help us make smarter decisions, and that can lead to happier results for us and for the family. I would
Yeah.
say at least. And then when we go, what kind of impact do we want to have through, let's say, going to one family versus to the other one? What kind of impact on the children? Where did the children feel more comfortable? How do we
Yeah.
want our children to feel if we have children?
Hmm. I like that. And what would you say if you're, because right now we're kind of implying if both partners want to have the conversation.
Mm.
What would you do if one partner is dead set on their way or the highway and we're only going to go visit my family for this holiday, regardless of
Mm.
how you feel or how safe you feel, we're going to visit them, or whatever, right? Just
Yeah.
whatever
They just,
format it looks like, but they're not willing to negotiate or even talk about it. How do
mm,
you think people should handle that?
that can be a tricky situation. And if that's a recurring pattern in that relationship, I would really have a look at that relationship before just looking at the context of the holidays. If one partner's needs are always ahead of the other person's,
Mm.
I would see that as a red flag possibly.
Hmm.
But let's say that person is really convinced, this determined, just about in all the other situations they're very understanding, very caring, but just in this circumstance, in this instance, they want to have the holidays, let's say, with their parents. As the partner, I would ideally want to know what is the aspiration? What would that provide for them, that experience? Are they really, for some people, as we have aging parents, they're worried maybe this is going to be our last Christmas together.
Mm.
And that's why it's
Mm.
really important for me to be there for that special time, to have that memory. Now,
Yeah.
once as a partner, I know that, then we can explore what would be a way that we can, yes, still see them, and at the same time seeing what is important to me. Do I can I postpone seeing my family and hanging out with my family? Maybe we could spend the Christmas the next Christmas or the Thanksgiving or the
Hmm.
summer holidays
Right.
and seeing what would be a way. What can we look at the level of aspiration? What is it really that we are after? In a way, the emotional goal, the legacy goal. What would that provide for us when we are there? I think when we discuss with people on that level rather than discussing from, well, this is what I said, this is what I want, and you either like accept it or like we are going to have a problem.
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
from that level we cannot really come to a collaborative solution where everybody feels good about that, rather than that could be more of a compromise. I win, you lose.
Yeah.
And in my eyes, that's actually a lose for that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, compromise. And number one, like I said earlier, I don't like the word compromise. I don't think it works in most
Mm,
situations. I don't
hmm.
think it applies. And especially in this, right? Like at the end of the day, you have to choose something, right? Even if it's staying home and we don't go anywhere, that's still a choice. You're choosing
Yes.
one way to do things. There's only one way you can do it. Um, you could argue compromise means that you go to your family, I go to my family, but that's not really the goal. Like
What's the
that
impact
might
on
be a
the
compromise,
relationship?
right? Still not great. So
Hmm.
it's one of those things where you're right. It's really trying to understand what is driving that resistance. What is going on for that person? What's really important for them? Is it that their parents or whatever is getting older, and so like they may not have a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
Granted, now the contrarian part of me is like, what if both of our parents are in that situation? We don't know if they're going to make it till even Christmas. Then what
Mm.
do we do?
That's a great question. Then I would say, let's brainstorm. How can we see all of them?
Yeah,
Let's find
yeah,
innovative solutions.
right. I think yeah, that's where that collaborative problem solving really comes in, is more so than in a work situation where you kind of have to tell somebody what to do.
Mm. Yeah.
This is what a situation where you need both people to fully talk together. You need to even get to a place where both parties are willing to talk to each other
Yeah.
and coordinate, and then you need to lay it all out and figure out how we're going to meet both of our needs, right? Because if I want to go see my family, there's a reason I want to go see them. You want to go see your family. Your dad's got health issues. You're not sure if he's going to make it till next year.
Yeah.
Real reason, and I may have a real reason, and both are valid reasons. And so how do we figure out to meet both of those needs in a way that seems reasonable? And so that's being creative also, I think, is helpful. Is how can we be creative?
Yeah, I'm curious. If not compromise, how would you call the other approach? If not compromising in that conversation.
I call it. I'll use a different metaphor altogether. It's instead of fighting over um a pizza, right? Like instead of just fighting over one pie of pizza, why don't we expand the size of the pizza altogether, so that we all get what we want out of it,
Hmm. Like a potluck.
like a potluck. Yeah. Um, so I think of it more that way. How do we create a situation where both of our needs are met?
Hmm.
Like I don't even like calling it win-win, because that's still thinking of it like a competition. Like somebody's got to lose in that
Hmm.
situation. I think of it as, how can we find a situation where both of our needs are met?
Hmm. I like it. Which assumes both of us know what the needs are.
That's part of the conversation,
Kind of the self awareness in the emotional intelligence.
right?
Another reason that or challenge that can happen. Let's say one of the partners is afraid to tell their parents. They feel the pressure from their parents to come,
Mm-hmm.
and they're afraid to say no because
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to have the conflict with their parents.
Right,
And
right.
so, is that also determining what is really my need versus what is just me thinking this is my need because out of fear of conflict
Mm-hmm. Great observation. Yeah, and or the guilt that comes
or
with it,
guilt?
right?
Yes.
There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
cultures that deal in guilt
Oh
and just
yes. Oh
guilting
yes.
other family members, right?
Yep.
So I think that comes into play also. I feel guilty if I don't do this, and there's no real reason for that
Absolutely.
guilt.
Yeah. I just
It's
don't want
just
to
how
feel guilty,
we.
so we need to go because I've always done that.
Right, right,
And so these conversations or the process of deciding can be actually a beautiful tool for personal growth and
right.
changing the family dynamics or even the generational dynamics. If
Hmm.
it's been the generation we are sticking together no matter what, even if we fight, even if we are miserable together, you gotta show up.
Yep.
And then is that really supportive? Is that really helpful and healthy for the new family that we are creating?
Yeah. That's why I like your idea of the goal should be the feeling. You should be
Mm-hmm.
looking for a feeling or identity state of who we want to be and who how we want to feel. That way, the logistics don't actually matter as much. It's really how do we create this feeling.
Yep.
Even if we're in a place I don't want to be, we still need to create this. This is the feeling is what we need to focus on. So I think that's a really nice reframe of that dilemma.
And it can also help us brainstorm and come up with creative ideas.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Even when something happens stressful during the holidays. Okay, something unexpected happens. How do we deal with that? How do we, it's coming back to also our emotional regulation. We don't want to, something stressful really happen right now. How do we process it? How do we still are able to focus also on the things that are good? Especially
Hmm.
if our feeling goal was, I want to feel grateful. I want to feel connected with others. I
Yeah.
want to feel safe. I want to feel joyful. I want to feel love.
Hmm.
How could we make that happen even when things are going around us or in the
Yeah.
world?
Yeah. I love that. So I feel like we're talking a lot, we're dancing around it a lot. Why don't we take a break and why don't we come back and let's role play it and let's spend a little more time in the role play because it'll be a little harder.
Let's do it.
Let's spend a little bit more time in it and really sit in those feelings and see what happens.
Let's explore.
Hey, Chris here. I really appreciate you listening to this podcast. And if you are listening to this podcast because you're looking to get better at these difficult conversations, well, if you really want to de escalate difficult behaviors and you want to be assertive without being aggressive and being true to yourself, I have a self paced course that can really help you because I know it's difficult being assertive in lots of different situations. If you're at work and you have to give feedback, if you have to deliver bad news to an employee, or deliver bad news to somebody that you care about in your personal life, or you're struggling to deal with defensive or sensitive people who are pushing your buttons and you don't know how to push back. It doesn't have to be that way. There is a world where you can handle these tough emotions with confidence. You can speak honestly and kindly while you're still being assertive. And you have the ability to manage emotional outbursts and stubbornness calmly, because these are things that I've had to overcome and learn. And so this self-paced course goes through all of those things. I've created this trust framework that helps you think through how to prepare for and how to facilitate hard conversations. And you hear a lot of it actually in this podcast as I talk about how to handle difficult conversations in lots of different scenarios. Currently, the course is closed for enrollment. There's a waiting list. If you are interested in learning more, enrollment will open up at the end of August and the beginning of September. So please go to the website. I'll link it down below and you can learn more about it and join the waiting list if you want to hear more about it. I'd love to see you there. All right, welcome back to the art and science of difficult conversations. And we are going to role play a really complicated debate that we're going to have as a married couple. So in this scenario, Lucy and I are married, let's say for, I don't know, 8 years, whatever, it doesn't really matter. We have two kids, 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. And um, her and Lucy's dad has passed away, and her mom still lives in Europe. So we need to travel. We need to fly to actually go see her. My mom lives over in New York. My dad lives in Hong Kong. So it's also already complicated on my side of the family. To make it a little bit easier so we don't stress about every little detail, let's say that we generally get along with each other's families for the most part. So it's not like we dread going, right? But there is a lot more at play here. So we'll get into that as we role play. So here we are, we're role playing, and we're just going to try to figure out where are we going for the holidays. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Um, hey, listen, I know, can we talk about what we're doing for the holidays?
Yeah, well, this year is our European trip. Remember? We talked about it last time.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Here's the problem. Um, my mom, she, she works at Target, and so unfortunately, Black Friday is a really big deal for her. She can't miss it. She
Mm.
has to work that Thursday night, Thanksgiving. And so she's essentially saying, don't come back for Thanksgiving because she's not going to be around. So she's
Mm.
literally not going to be around. Um, I know your mom was like dead set on us visiting for Christmas.
I mean, she's been looking forward to it for months.
I know. Here's the problem though. like we can't visit my mom either. So we need to visit. We need to figure this out because like obviously we can't go to both over Christmas.
True. I thought we would be just having a discussion about let's sit together and buy the tickets to Europe because we need to, buy them a little bit ahead of time.
I know, but we still can. Like, is there any way that we can visit your mom for Thanksgiving?
If they don't celebrate Thanksgiving in Czech Republic. It's the is the
Yeah,
big holiday is the Christmas.
yeah,
And
I
my
know.
mom is just by herself. And so she is really looking forward to seeing us. She's been looking forward to it for like a year since the time we told her the first time that we would be there. It's going to be beautiful. Hopefully, it's going to be snowing there. It's the beautiful atmosphere. You get to experience the true Czech Christus. Wouldn't it be
It needs to be
wonderful?
snowing here too, if that's important to you. But I mean, let me ask you this: like, is the only like what's the reason like it's so important that it has to be Christmas? Like, is it snows here? Like, there's
That's true. Unless we go visit California.
fair
Um,
enough.
it's having that community, that culture that I grew up with. It makes it so special, though. The Christmas, remembering the tradition. It's a completely different tradition than the American. We actually celebrate on the 24th evening, and with all the extended family maybe coming celebrate with us because we would be there, so everybody would want to meet us. It could be a
Mm,
really special evening with the whole family that otherwise I don't get to see like for sometimes a year or more.
yeah, yeah, I get that. I mean, are they? Remind me, where does your extended family live? The ones that are we're going to see over Christmas. Where do they typically usually live?
Yeah, in not too far from Ostrava, it's the northeastern part, you know. So they live all live in a driving distance from where my mom lives. It's
Yeah,
like 2 3 hours max, or 4 hours max. So it could be a nice big family get together.
I know. I know, and I don't mind that. I like the idea of that Christmas or that family stuff. I don't know. What do you want to do? Because this is the hard part is my mom obviously can't because she's working, meet over
Mm.
Thanksgiving. So, and you want to see your family and extended family, and I get that, and
Yeah.
be where you grew up. That's fine. That's all good. What could like is there anything we can do? Like maybe I'm not even thinking about it. Like what else can we do that we get both of those um hit both of those things?
And I also hear you. You want to be with your mom, and I know she works really hard, and I know how crazy the day can be. How about um, with your mom? Could we find a different date where we would have Thanksgiving on a different day? Maybe some other weekend, and just get together as a family. It won't be the Thanksgiving. We would just rest. Um, but we
Yeah.
could get together as a family on that weekend, maybe right after or on the Sunday of the Thanksgiving week. What do you think?
I mean, I guess I'll say this. Why can't we do that for your mom then? Why can't we also then travel to visit her at a different time?
That's a good question. I think also because there's more people involved, and that's the only opportunity to really get to see everybody too. Because otherwise, people are at work, so at the time, everybody's having kind of some time off. So that's
Yeah.
why they can
But
also
didn't you say they were in
travel and
driving
get together.
distance?
Yeah, they live in the driving distance, so that's why it's yeah. But when they are working, it's really difficult to take the time off.
But that I
And
mean
it's
we
so
can
special during the holidays too.
yes, I know it's special. I
It is
know.
special.
But I'll say this. Couldn't they theoretically drive up on the weekends? Like they don't work on the weekends, do they? Like if we travel there for, if our trip overlapped with weekend, we could still we could still celebrate on that weekend.
I mean, we could, but to go to Europe, we would need at least the 2 weeks, which will also give us more time to see everybody. Because going for Europe with the time difference, it just takes me a few days to recover.
I mean, yeah, I know.
So
I mean,
with
I
your
know.
mom, we
Usually
can
we
get
go
to
two
see her.
weeks. I know usually we go 2 weeks, but do we need 2 weeks?
Well, I also want to be not totally destroyed when we come back or when we are there. So the 2 weeks gives me a little bit time to get used to the time difference and actually being able to enjoy it. And everybody wants to meet you too.
Yeah, no, I'm not opposed to that. That part is fine. That's I'm just wondering, like, I'm not like I'm still trying to. I guess I'm just trying to understand what is important about it, act like actively coinciding with Christmas Day for us to visit your mom.
Hmm. I feel like I'm repeating myself. It is special for the Christmas day. It's only once a year.
It's
How
special
about
everywhere. What's it for
it is,
you?
it
What's
is.
I'm just wonder. I just want to understand for you what makes it so special for you on that day to be in
Hmm.
where you grew up.
It's a special food, it's special tradition, completely different than in the US. And I've been also looking forward to it. So I already was imagining the gifts that I'm gonna bring, how we gonna spend that. And so I feel a little bit disappointed just thinking about and also thinking about my mom's disappointment. And she might be really sad. Um, and so on that time, I also want her to be surrounded with family so she feels loved, especially after dad passed away. It's been many hard years, so I really want to also make it special for her.
Yeah.
You know, and I also want you to feel happy and your mom to feel good. How do we want to feel actually? What would be a win for us during these holidays?
Um, Truthfully, I'd like to not travel. I
Mm,
just like to not even
yeah, I
deal
hear
with any
you.
traveling for anybody, anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
If we could just teleport all of our family to us or us to our family, that'd be helpful.
that would be amazing. I tried to have my mom come over here, but she doesn't want to fly anymore because her health isn't so good. So that's tricky.
Yeah, that's the hard part. Um,
But how
I don't know.
else? If you don't travel, how would that
Because
what
like my mom's also alone too, right? Because like my dad's not around, so
hmm,
it's not easy for her to be like Thanksgiving. Like I can understand now she's working, she's trying to keep herself busy. That's fine, whatever.
yeah.
But that means she'd be alone for Christmas, right? Because nobody else around at all. Like unfortunately, or fortunately, your mom has other family, extended family
I
that
have
can
an
visit
idea.
her for Christmas. My mom's got nobody else with her.
Hmm. So I'm hearing also you want to feel you're also of course caring for your mom, but how would you want to feel? So when you are not traveling, do you want to feel relaxed? Do you want to feel not guilty because you're not thinking about your mom being alone?
Um, yeah, I guess yeah, I don't feel necessarily it's not guilt that I feel.
Hmm.
It's more like I feel bad. I feel sad that she's
Oh,
alone.
well,
Um,
here's an idea. And I appreciate it and I love how you care for your mom. How about she comes with us? We give her as a Christmas gift a ticket and a vacation
hmm,
to Europe for
okay,
Christmas.
okay. I'm listening to that one now. Now I'm listening to that.
That could be so
That's an
special. I
interesting one.
I don't think she's ever been there, has she?
No, she hasn't been.
We
She
could
does like traveling.
we could take a trip to Prague and
Yeah.
visit some
I don't, I,
castles.
you know what? That's not a bad idea. I think that'd be interesting. I wonder if she'd be interested in that.
Huh. How about we when next time when we visit her, we ask her or we give her a call and have a conversation with her and see what she thinks.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll just call her tomorrow.
Fantastic.
let me just see what happens. Let me see what she says.
Hmm.
Because I think that's an interesting idea. Because I think she'd be
I think that'll
interested
be
in
so
traveling
fun.
with the kiddos.
Yeah.
So
Then all of us could be together. We don't have
Yeah.
to feel sad for anybody being alone at home over the
Yep. Yep.
holidays.
Yeah. Although, does any of your family speak English and or Chinese?
You know what? That's a good point. And with today's ChatGPT or Google Translate,
That's the only problem.
I think
That's the
it'll be
only
fun.
yeah, that's the only difficulty I'd see. But
It will make it a fun experience. My
make it
nieces
a fun
speak
experience.
English a little bit. My mom doesn't, but I
Hmm. Yeah.
think it will
Okay. Yeah. Let me talk
make it
about. Let me
fun.
see, because that's an interesting idea.
Awesome.
Let's
Yeah, I'm
explore that.
excited. Okay.
Cool.
Hey.
All right. Cut. Cut. Um. You know what I first thing I right away noticed is in when we talk about talking to employees, I
Mhm.
use the other person's name a lot. But
Yeah,
in
you haven't
personal
used
conversations,
it.
I rarely ever say somebody else's name.
True, that's a good observation. Yeah, you haven't called me Lucy or any other name. Yeah, not even once. I don't. I don't
I
think
don't
I
think I
did the
say anything.
same.
But either way,
Yeah,
how did
I
that go
don't
for
remember.
you, Lucy? How did that go for you?
Well, at the end, I felt excited. I felt we came to an innovative solution, how to be kind to all of us, including the extended family members and what matters to them. So, in a way, showing empathy for all of us. I look at it as a win always. And it could be really fun and exciting. Um, when I laugh is, in the personal conversations, I wonder if my coaching head sometimes is getting the professional deformation.
Mm,
So how would you want to feel? So it doesn't turn into the coaching conversations. I need to be careful sometimes in my personal
mm,
conversations.
mm,
But I think I didn't go there, at least as far as I noticed.
no.
And it seemed you were also open. You shared what you needed to share. Um, how was it for you?
I think it was a good conversation. I think we were definitely calmer than other people who go through that conversation.
True.
Um, yeah, I think that's a good, realistic way of at least how my wife and I would have handled that conversation. Like I really would have said, "Listen, I'm just trying to understand what is so important about this to you."
Yeah,
Because there is snow everywhere. There's lots of places in the world where there's snow. There's lots of places where there's
true.
Christmas food, and
True.
so just trying to get more. I think that's always maybe the harder issue is how do you get deep to
Mm,
understand? Like it wasn't even until the end that I said my mom is alone. She's never like
true. Yep.
right. It wasn't even like it took a long time to get to that point for me to say it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm the one like trying to facilitate that.
Mm,
So I think it's just in these kind of situations, it is hard to, even with somebody you care about, you're a good relationship with, it's still hard to like unveil that part of yourself sometimes.
absolutely. And actually, you saying that helped me come up with the idea to invite her also. So that was an
Yeah,
important piece of information, actually.
right.
But
Because that
sometimes,
meets the
mhm,
that meets the need of I'm concerned about her being alone.
yes, yeah. So really being curious rather than judgmental with each other
Yeah,
and trying to
yeah,
understand what's really important to both of us.
yeah. And I think in this, what we did here was like, which is the right way to do it is try to think through as many possible options. Like, let's be
Mm-hmm.
creative. Let's think about us possible options we could do.
Yeah,
And then when we don't like the idea, it should be focused on this is why I don't think the idea is great,
yeah.
not you are stupid for thinking about that way.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right. It's really more about the idea, not the person. It's very similar to brainstorming in general. And here
Absolutely.
it's I think it's important to let the other person know when you don't like their idea, it's important to talk about this is why it doesn't meet my need. It might meet
Mm-hmm.
your need, but it doesn't meet my need because of this reason.
Yeah. And in a loving, caring relationship, both of the partners' needs are important.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it takes a while. I don't I if you hadn't suggested that, I wasn't sure what the good solution was other than just you need to get over it. Just kidding. But it is about like if that wasn't the solution, I don't know what the solution would have been. I didn't come in thinking there should be a solution. I was just thinking we have a problem. Like we
Yeah.
both of our moms need to be seen can only be seen on Thanksgiving. I mean Christmas, I mean.
Yeah. Well, we went with the flow and we came up with a new solution.
Yeah. I think that's it. That's the what we talk about, the art and science, right? There's a science
Mm-hmm.
in terms of how do you facilitate the specific words you say, how do you acknowledge both needs, but also the art is you have to be willing to go with the flow and see what's happening and be willing to kind of follow where the conversation goes because here the outcome is important. You know, it's also really important the relationship. We need to preserve our relationship
Absolutely.
as we're doing it. So
Yeah.
that's why it's important to go with the flow and let's create, a lot of it was creating an environment where let's think of a solution together because it's a problem that affects both of us.
Yes. So you're bringing that perspective of when there's a problem, it's not my problem, it's not your problem, where we are then against the other person with the problem, but we are together against that problem. We partner together. Let's figure this out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, and therefore, we are partnering together rather than me against you and either my needs, my way, or your way, which doesn't lead to a happy, harmonious relationship or a long term, sustainable relationship.
It does not.
Nope.
Yeah. So, any last thoughts from you before we sign off for today?
Any last thoughts? So, of course, your family is always invited to Europe.
Great.
If you ever want to make a trip, let me know. I can reach out to my family. They can host you.
Great. Great.
But other thoughts. Um, I think really focus on the relationship and preserving, rather than we are not winning as a couple, as partners, if we don't support each other through this, and both of our needs matter rather than my way or highway.
Right.
So unless it's a win-win, it's a lose. Any final words from your side?
I think it's the idea of just be open to creative problem solving.
Hmm.
Be open to realize that it's not you against the other person. It's you two trying to figure out the problem together, solving the problem together. Especially in a relationship. I think that's very true in a relationship is the more you can maintain that attitude together
Yeah.
as opposed to how are you going to figure out this problem or how am I going to figure out this problem? The more you can say, how are we going to figure out this problem? That I think that's a better foundation to start from.
Absolutely. And it's applicable even to work situations. How we are going to solve it as a team together.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
this is your problem, so you figure it out.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck. You figure it out. Okay.
Well, thank you,
Very cool.
Chris.
Yeah. Thank you, Lucie.
Happy holidays to everyone.
Even though we're just about to celebrate Halloween here, but yeah, please give us a like, comment, subscribe to us. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Leave us a review. But otherwise, we'll see you in our next episode.